So it's been a minute since my last 2042 video. Since the Discarded rework went live, I've gone through several iterations of scripts for this video, and every time I've recorded some commentary, a new piece of news about the upcoming developments for the game comes out, and I have to rewrite the whole thing. So I eventually decided to just wait it out, and now finally seems like a good time to broadly talk about the things that interested me the most. I'm sure most of you by now have played the Discarded rework, and I don't want to spend too much time on this other than to say that I was really pleasantly surprised with this one. After the manifest changes, I've been a bit more pessimistic about the quality of the map reworks we'd be getting moving forward, and I really thought Discarded would only get minor improvements. In short, it's now one of my favorite maps to play for Conquest in the game, and I've had a great time with it. If you haven't had a chance to play on the map yet, I highly recommend jumping in. Next big thing I want to discuss is vault weapons. We're finally getting some 2042 attachments added to them to help make them more viable. Outside of a few of them, the majority of the vault weapons were just really bad compared to the base weapons in the game, so I'm happy to see this change. It makes them feel less like arbitrary fluff just to say that there are more guns than there are in the game. I believe they'll also be getting adjustments to their spread, and I hope the reload animation timing will be fixed as well. As far as the ammo though, we're only getting a general extended magazine option instead of the variety of ammo types we get with the 2042 guns. So that means there isn't the difference between close quarters, standard issue, high power, and armor piercing rounds. It's just the standard ammo that the gun uses, just a larger magazine. We'll see how this ends up working out, but I do kind of wish we'd get those different ammo types. It's one of those things that really gives the plus system a bit of depth and empowers the player to make decisions for every situation. I've found myself using the plus system a lot more recently than in the past, so I'd love to see the vault weapons leverage that feature. I am a little concerned that the attachments they listed for the optic slot didn't include the Fusion Hollow. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but the Fusion Hollow is significantly cleaner to me than the low zoom sights on the M16 and similar guns. That really thick bezeled, rounded style sight on the vault guns just really obstructs a ton of the player's view compared to the Fusion Hollow, so I'm hoping that was just an accidental omission. I know it sounds really silly, but I'd honestly probably still steer clear from the vault guns based on that alone, assuming they're balanced otherwise. Universal skins will also be available. I don't care too much about that, but I'm glad it's there for those who do. As far as I know though, there doesn't appear to be mastery skins, which is kind of a bummer. I know for a lot of players it's a huge part of why they put the hours into the game. The other major thing I wanted to talk about in this video was the introduction of squad management. Generally, I try to be as understanding as possible about feature implementations. I know there are so many factors that influence these things, so I don't want to be too quick to judge. That being said though, I am extremely disappointed with what DICE has shown. You will have the ability to join squads or create new ones, but options to make squads private, ban players from your squad, or kick players from your squad are all absent. My assumption is that they're doing this to avoid some kind of toxicity or the potential for players to constantly kick another player, much like the initial decision to omit all chat from the game in the first place. Problem though is that trolling can just as easily go the other way. If a player on my team suddenly has some kind of problem with me, what's to stop them from joining my squad and trying to constantly sabotage me or the other players in my squad? Do I have no recourse for this? If I leave the squad and create another, what stops them from following me? I just have to get lucky that other people join first? I've never had a problem with a toxic player before in Battlefield, but if the developers are potentially taking away these kick and ban features, which were initially planned to be part of the system and have since been removed, based on just hypothetical feelings being hurt, then they also need to consider the hypothetical problems that come with making players powerless. And if I wanted to start a squad for just my friends and me, I only have a brief moment where they can join before the squad is opened up to the rest of the team. So if my buddy happened to shoot over to the bathroom and his spot was taken, the only solution is to all leave the squad, create another one, and try again. This just seems like a really odd and tedious approach to the system. And on top of this, the only incentive to following the squad leader's orders is a bit of extra XP. And if the squad leader isn't giving orders, there's no mechanism to change the squad leader. At this point in the game's life cycle, a lot of the players have everything unlocked, so what good is the extra XP? When we had the initial data mine leaks about squad contracts, I had much higher expectations about what would be possible. Of course, it's never a good idea to take leaks as certainties and base all of your expectations on them, and I definitely didn't think we'd get something exactly like what we had in Battlefield 5. To be perfectly honest, with the added chaos of double the player count and all the explosives, I actually really don't think airstrikes and the like would make much sense in 2042, and they would mostly just be really annoying. I was really hoping though that completing orders, or maybe even getting contracts that the squad could complete, like capturing a specific objective on the map, would lead to power weapons being dropped. This would kind of combine the squad order system from Battlefield 5 with the power weapons we used to see in older Battlefield games. Of course, these rewards would have to be somewhat difficult to earn in order to avoid too many people just running around with these overpowered guns every match, but it seemed like a cool way to combine the systems we had previously in the series. Instead, we have what can only be described as the most bare bones squad management system possible. And I'm really sad about this. Ace has been on such a roll for the last few seasons that this time it really feels like a misstep. And this kind of uncertainty has really got me thinking about the future of this game. We know we're we're getting a season 5, but beyond that, the only indication we've had of a potential full year 2 has been an accidental placeholder promo for year 2 being spotted in Origin. With no confirmation from DICE about a year 2 though, I'm starting to think it won't happen. With the rapid announcements of all the things coming next season, I get the feeling DICE is trying to rush out what they feel are the last major features this game needs to limp along until the next release. With vault weapon updates and this basic squad management, I'm wondering if after season 5, support ends so all the developers can focus on the next games coming out. It'd be a real shame. Portal's still never gotten the amount of content updates it should have when it comes to maps and game modes. Even with all the new 2042 content, the base game is still a little lacking compared to previous games. There are still a few features missing that may never come. An entire year 2 with less focus on adding in old features or reworking base maps and vault guns, and without adding new specialists, could look really good for this game. Imagine getting something like 2 to 4 maps in a season that focus heavily on urban areas and naval combat and traversal. Maybe a half dozen new guns alongside a few vault weapons. Some pieces of new equipment, maybe more maps for Portal, maybe 4 new vehicles. Just 3 seasons like I described would elevate this game to an entirely new level. God, maybe they could even find the time to give Hazard Zone a little more love to make it barely worth playing. There's so much potential there, but given DICE's history, I'm feeling less confident that they'll invest the time and effort to do those last few hurdles. Especially with no official announcement of anything like that, it just seems unlikely. If they were planning a full year 2, then it's been time to announce it to give existing players as well as new and returning players that have been drawn in with the improvements that much more incentive to play this game more. So that does it for me, and I want to hear from all of you. Do you think there will be a full year 2 of support? What do you think of the squad management system? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. With that, leave a like or a dislike. I'll see you all in the next video.
Troops and material down to 50%. Big ass tank! North! Russians are attacking one of our objectives. One down! Reloading now! Russian attack at one of our objectives. Let's get going. Under attack by hostiles. Sector Echo has fallen to the hostiles. Grenade out! attacking Delta 1. We have secured most of the sectors. Defend them at all costs. Attacking one of our objectives.
Grenade outgoing! Grapple fire! One down! Second. I need a pickup over here.
You captured Sector Charlie. Russians are attacking one of our objectives.
Hostile down!
They're down to the last of their
Marking
attack
danger.
force. Through east!
Man down!
Taking control of Sector Bravo. We've secured nearly every sector. Do not give the Russians a chance to take them back. It's over. This battle is won.